whatever. Like,
Can
okay,
I ask you a quick question to interject very quickly?
Yeah.
What do you think chivalry is?
I think it's the proof of, like I said, I like proof. It's the proof that I'm like willing to show that I like you. The proof of I'm on time, I'm picking you up, I'm taking you here. It's not about them like giving me what I want. It's the proof that I know I like, okay, I'm wanted.
Does the woman have to be on time too?
Yeah.
So if I pick you up and you're running 30 minutes behind,
Yeah, that's not nice.
That's disrespectful.
yeah.
how late were you for the show
Chivalry
today?
was a code. It was a code that knights
Damn.
lived by for
We're
a proper
sorry.
reason.
Yeah, I was late today.
Inside of this code, women were valued, and the reason that they were highly valued is because they were considered pure and chaste, and so men would actually fight to the death for them. Very famous two French knights, French, I can't believe it, but they actually fought each other, Jean and Jacques, because one essayed the other one's wife, and they took it, petitioned to the king. He wouldn't assist, so he challenged him to a duel, and he killed the much larger knight. Why? Because the woman he was fighting the duel on behalf of was a pure woman. When he married her, he had fought tooth and nail to take her hand in marriage, right? So if there's not the chastity and the purity and the virtue aspect for women, why in the hell should any man ever in a million years extend the code of chivalry? I've never understood that.
I guess that makes sense to a certain degree, but it's also just, once again, like the intentions of people. And also marriage is a very long thing. Like marriage lasts forever. And I'm not saying I'm opposed to either. Well, obviously I'm in like a state of wanting to be like more exclusive. But what I'm trying to say is it also makes sense to me when, if you're married for the rest of your life and you start dating at 18, like it makes sense that maybe you want to like have a relationship where you value each other's partnership and time and like, partnership in life, but you also need to like breathe a little bit because you've been dating since you were teenagers and such. The same thing with my ex. Like since we started dating when I was literally 14, it kind of I'm happy that we were off and on because my development as a human being wouldn't have been, healthy if I was consistently with my ex from age like 14 to 19. Like that's crazy. That's not good for me. So
wait a second. So I mean, at the same time that you're saying that compromising virtue, right, is actually good for you.
Yes,
because
it is.
Because it gives you experience or something like that.
No, I'm not saying compromising virtue in a sense of like, have sex with a ton of people or not. But what I'm trying to say is there is a lot
about
of...
any people.
Pardon?
About any people.
But if you're not with somebody, then that makes sense to have sex with people, learn new things about people, like not just sex,
so
but
this
like
would be a
talking.
compromise. This would be a compromise on the virtue of chastity, right?
Well, if you're on and off with somebody and you're like off and you've been dating for 5 years and you're learning new things about people, and it's not just that, like being single, there's more to being single than just...
Then hang on, can you answer this question?
Okay.
How is that not a compromise in virtue?
If I'm off with somebody and I have sex with somebody else?
Yeah, the assumption...
If I'm not
here is that
dating
you
somebody and I have
expect-
sex with somebody else?
Is that, hang on, if you expect chivalry, the idea that men will sacrifice literally everything on behalf of a woman, and they will, by the way, right? Why should they expect virtue in exchange?
I mean, to a certain extent, yeah, that makes sense. Like, that's why what I'm trying to say is I've changed my brain. I'm happy that I was on and off and I've lived, and now I'm in a relationship, and now, I'm going to be loyal to him, and he treats me well. Is that what you want? I think that's the answer, right? Like,
Well, I mean, I'm just asking.
Yeah, that's
We're
how
all
I
learning.
feel. I'm just wondering what you're
But it
asking.
seems like you're kind of speaking out of both sides, right? Like on the one hand, you say, yeah, but I need new experiences and this and that. which
Yeah,
would be a
because of
compromise to me.
because of the age that we met and the duration of how long that relationship lasted at that age. You know what I mean? You shouldn't. I think it's not a great idea to be with somebody for your entire teenagehood. That's a developmental time of your own sense of self. And if you're dating somebody,
Then why be with anybody?
well, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, you shouldn't be with anybody in your teenagehood. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So
and-
when you're old enough to make decisions to be with people, though, right? The idea here with chivalry, if you want to know why chivalry is dead, the old line is because women killed it. The idea here is that if men are supposed to have an uncompromising value towards women, where they'll pay for everything, they'll take good care of you, they'll fight the dragon, slay the proverbial dragon, as it were, on your behalf to have a token from a lady, then they want to have chastity and virtue in exchange.
That's what I want for my boyfriend, too.
There is no chastity and virtue to be found in modernity, so why the hell would anybody ever expect there to be that sort of chivalry.
All right, from my understanding of relationships, I agree with you. I'm loyal to my boyfriend, and he's like, what's the word? He's respectful to me. That's not, everybody, but that's where I am, and that's how I feel.
So chivalry, I can't say that word, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Chivalry. Say it with me. Chivalry.
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 Thank you, Andrew.
Chivalry. All right, go ahead.
So then I would say, would you not protect your sister if she got SA'd? Or would you not protect your mom if somebody treated her bad, or your dad? I feel like the reason that is dead is because women stopped becoming property. And so when you have property...
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, no worries. It's okay, Andrew. So I feel like women are no longer kind of considered that. We're considered more of our own entity. And I would say that's kind of the reason why everything's changed.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
You considered your own entity, eh? Are you going to take your husband's last name?
No, we're making our own last name together.
Of course you are. So anyway, so this.
It's thrills.
So hang on. So this aside, right? If you think about it, it actually makes sense. If a husband did actually consider you to be an extension of him, then he would protect you, right? Because you're his other half, or you're part of him.
Yeah.
So of course he protects you and will do whatever he can, make whatever sacrifices he possibly can for you. But if you're not willing to make the sacrifice, becoming one flesh with him in the same way that you would become like the melded one person, which would require taking his last name, then I mean, why should he give a shit? And ultimately, when you're talking about what about protecting mom and sister and things like this, well, I would still say that that's a part of an honor code which has been passed down, and that is pre-chivalric roots to protect your own bloodline. But that has nothing to do with miladying and slaying a dragon for a complete stranger, or for a woman that you're courting and taking care of all of her problems and whatever responsibilities you're going to adopt from that, if they're not chaste and pure on their part for their virtue. So there would just be a one-sided contract being fulfilled then, right?
If you feel like that is the most important thing to you, then sure. But I feel like I don't even think men really care about that much anymore. At least I would say.
Oh, okay. Well, let's test that. Let's see if that's true. So let us assume for a moment that it was you and, I don't know, whatever guy you think is a Chad, okay?
Okay.
It's you in your current state, or it's you in your current state, but you're a virgin, and he had to take the pick, right, of marrying you. Which state do you think he'd prefer you in?
Like just a random Chad?
Whatever random Chad you would be interested in.
I don't know. I think he might take me for who I am now.
Why?
Because she really knows how to suck a dick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
no, well,
it's not. Having sex is totally not intuitive. It's not like people haven't been doing that since. Oh, I don't know. The dawn of fucking time. Super hard. Who could figure out that the pee goes in the? Who could ever? How could you ever discover this without having hundreds of partners filling you with semen? How could this ever be possible? It's ridiculous.
I don't know.
Ridiculous on its face to think.
Procreation's a lot different than good sex.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Well, by the way, what frame of reference would you have for what bad sex was if you'd never had it with anybody else?
Exactly. But I can tell.
Exactly. So if you were a virgin and you ended up with a guy and you had sex with him, you would have no frame of reference to say it was bad.
You would know because you didn't orgasm.
Yeah. You would just think it's a myth.
You wouldn't know that you were even supposed to. What would be your frame of reference?
Well, but that's
society. People talk about it. You'd be like, what's all the hype about? That wasn't that
and
cool.
If more people were chaste and had virtue, right, this wouldn't even be a problem. And the idea, by the way, that you can't grow in sexual compatibility with the person that you're with is fucking also crazy. Right? And not everybody starts off with a great sex life, and most people do end up with one because as you familiarize yourself with the needs of your wife or your husband, over time, you definitely can grow in sexual compatibility. This idea that you have to go and try out the cow because otherwise you don't know it gives you milk, I think is fucking crazy.
Well,
but that aside, back to this, where's the virtue part coming?
Well, I wasn't going to say just because the sex thing. I was actually going to say because I have more education, I'm more established, I know what constitutes as a good relationship, a bad relationship.
All of it is you.
Yeah.
Right? In your current form, it's just you're also a virgin or you're not a virgin, which state do you think that guy would prefer you in?
I think the guy would prefer the experience.
Of course.
That's just my
And you
opinion.
think, so I just want to let you, I just want to let you know the entailment of what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
That you think that any of the Omega Chads that you would be interested in, if you could tell them, hey, look, I've sucked 100 dicks versus I've sucked 0 dicks, they would go, damn it, I would really prefer if you'd go out and suck 99 more penises so that you're worthy of me. Do you really think that? Does that even sound reasonable or rational to you?
Okay, I understand where you're coming from. However, I feel like it's not a deal breaker. I feel like the past
but
happens.
that's not the question. The question isn't whether it's a deal breaker. The question is, what state do you think he would prefer you in? And you say he would prefer me in the state where I had sucked 99 more dicks than his.
I mean,
and I think that sounds fucking retarded.
I know it sounds
right?
crazy to you,
I
Andrew,
thought you were not
but
allowed to
it's
say that word.
That's the way you think. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't want a virgin. I would not want a virgin. I would want a dude that's fucking slammed clam and just like knows how to give it to men
and women are different. Let's test the logical extension. If I wasn't supposed to say the word, I'm sorry. I didn't know that was against a violation. But anyway, let's test this out. What if it was 1,000 dicks? Do you think that he would prefer that you sucked 1,000 dicks to 100 dicks?
I don't know. 1,000 dicks is a lot.
Yeah, but why? I mean, what's the threshold breaker?
Wait,
100 dicks isn't too much, but 1,000 dicks becomes just one bridge too far?
Then what's the difference between just like sleeping with one guy 100 times and sucking 100 dicks?
Yeah, well, the difference is the extension of how many different dicks, right? And by the way, it's also the idea of the revulsion comes from the loyalty threshold.
But wouldn't it also just be an insecurity?
So if a woman has been with one man, let's say she's been with one man for 25 years, okay? And he dies and she's a widow, okay?
Yeah.
Her loyalty threshold for other men is extraordinarily high. It's super high, right? But if she slept with, I don't know, 60 guys, right? Her loyalty threshold for that man significantly decreases. So this is where the revulsion portion also comes in for men. I just would like to hear you repeat this, though, that you think whatever Chad you would be with, or that you would be interested in, would vastly prefer all of the bodies and penises you've sucked and fucked and all this over having you in your most chaste form, then that you honestly believe that.
I have a good question. I have a good answer for that. I would say a monogamous Chad would care. A polyamorous Chad would not. And I think the reason why you and I differ as far as this statement is because our relationships are different. The Chad who wants to marry you.
Chad who wants to marry you.
Mm-hmm. Wait, you're poly, right?
Yeah.
Can we just move this to like, it's just not even, I don't know if it's even worth it.
I'm like right there at the end of the exchange. Just real quick.
He's like so close to winning the argument, guys.
So anyway, you should cover up your panty shot. But anyway, back to where I was at. I had to look. But anyway, back to where I was. I would just like to note that you think that the man you'd be interested in marrying would actually prefer you to have the higher body count.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll leave it there.
Okay. But hey, that was interesting. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I enjoyed the exchange.
Well, I think it'd be interesting to bring it to perhaps one of the other girls here at the table who are in relationships or who have had relationships. Because a lot of you cite I'm more sexually experienced because I fucked more men.
I think men would rather have a low body count in general. I agree with that. Woman? Yes.
Yeah. Like I don't think most men would. So here's the entailment. Okay, my girl will be better in bed, but that entails she slept with an additional 10 or 20 men before meeting me. I don't think most men are like gonna make that trade-off. So like no man ever, I really wish my girlfriend fucked more men before she met me. Said no man ever.
I don't think any man thinks that, no.
Well,
but I do think that when you meet somebody, you have a connection with them. Like I've never had a guy who meets me, gets to know me, likes me, and is like not okay with who I've slept with because they get to know me, they like me, they love me. There's like love trumps everything. And so, yeah, I've had a past. You're who I meet now, I'm loyal to you now. Period, point blank, bye. Yeah. But if you don't like it, then cool, you're not for me and I'm not for you.
I can also understand